Okay.
All right, I just merged our call. That's how we kick off the recording. So now, if you want to do the same thing, get Nick on the phone. We could talk as long as we want.
Okay, give me a second.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
What's up, people?
There we are. Nick, our long lost son.
Where you guys been, man?
Is it still hot in LA?
Oh yeah, I'm completely melting. It's hot. It's on fire. It's so hot that it's on fire. It's awful.
Oh well, it's back to nice at my house. So. Like
yeah.
72.
Well, aren't you lucky?
Well, the last two nights have been absolute hell. So.
Yeah. But holy shit! I can't believe that the three of us are on a call right now. It's pretty amazing. Nick, how have you been, dude? We miss you.
Good, man. How you guys been?
Good.
When was the last time we talked, Nick? I don't even know.
Dude.
Was it shortly? It was shortly after JD ended, huh?
I don't think we really even talked after everything.
No, I think we should all just kind of fill each other in on what's going on.
Well, I remember when we last talked, Nick. I think it was around the time I was in that band, The Virgin.
Yeah.
I think you had gotten in touch out of the blue or something, and things were kind of crazy on my end. I think I can't remember exactly what was going on, but that was almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago.
Keep going. Keep going. That was a long time ago.
Hard to believe.
It's amazing. It's amazing how quickly it goes by, and then suddenly here we are, basically quickly approaching the 20th anniversary of when we got in your basement, Nick, your mom's basement, and started playing together. You know,
yeah.
It's one of those things where all this time can fly by, right? But then suddenly, once you're talking to the two people that you created something that was, well, at least really special to the three of us. It's almost like it doesn't matter how much time goes by, but this is pretty awesome. I'm really glad that we got to kind of put this together, you know.
How about you guys? What the hell are you guys doing?
Oh man. Well, I'm sure
You're Papa, right?
Yeah, I'm
Papa. Congratulations, man.
It's hard to imagine. I know, knowing me when we were playing together, but yep, I'm a married man with a kid. Today's actually his second birthday, so. But I'm in San Francisco. I'm not sure if you knew that.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk to your old friends and you kind of reflect on where you've been and where you are now, it's like shit.
Yeah.
But I feel like talking to you guys, I feel like us talking together, it's definitely gonna unearth some shit that we haven't thought about in a long time. You know, that's why it's kind of cool to get on this call after so long.
Yeah. I mean, Machko Kana, what the fuck is that?
Machko Sukana.
Machko Sukana, I'm sorry.
Well, dude, I don't know.
Dude, I was totally blank when I read that. Then I texted you, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about it, and I remembered playing with the chopsticks, but it still didn't click until you said it, and then I remembered.
I remember we recorded 2 or 3 songs on a boombox in that condo that we lived in. It was totally legit. I mean, it was really there, and it was just stuff that you came out with, Nick. I just remember one day you told me about some dream you had. I can't even remember what Machko Sukana was, but I said, dude, we need to call this demo that. But again, I don't know what the theme is with dreams and all that, but that kind of came up out of nowhere too. It came into my mind on one random night. I was like, oh shit, Kana, that's right, you know. And so I made a note to just bring that to the archives, I guess, even though obviously it's lost music. But
that's funny, man.
Unless there's a secret demo in one of your boxes somewhere.
Oh, I wish. I have nothing from back then. We had a house fire a few years back. I loved it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Your mom's house?
Yeah, the one in North Memphis.
Oh, wow.
My older brother actually died in the fire. Yeah.
What happened?
It was Billy, Michael, and my were living there at the time, and there's a fire started at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And Billy woke up. He woke my mother and Michael up, but he couldn't get to the hallway like to help to get Michael out. He got my mother out of the window, and then just in the smoke inhalation, he just
and
I'm
sorry to hear that.
This is the same brother that you used to run around fighting with.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
When was that? What year was that, Nick?
2013. What's crazy is like the night before my grandmother passed, like the day before.
Really?
They had the funeral planned and everything for the next day, and I was like sitting. It was like 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock, and sitting in the bathroom like shaving and shit. And my sister, not Crystal, my half sister Andrea called me up, and she was like, "Are you home?" I'm like, "No, I don't live there anymore." She was like, "Hey," she's like, I think the house is on fire." I was like, "What?" And I tried calling the police department. They wouldn't tell me anything, so I just got in the car and I drove straight down them. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
What caused it?
I guess it was a cigarette that wasn't dried out.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
Which was your older brother's name? Michael?
Billy.
Billy.
This is one of those crazy things where, I mean, I think we, the three of us have I can only imagine in terms of what each of us have been through along the way, and that's something that's kind of easy to forget, is like how much can happen,
How much time?
That kind of block of time, and dude, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's to go from that into like, well, let me ask you guys, where do you want to take this conversation? What do you
Yeah,
want?
we should definitely make it a little bit lighter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm so.
Talking about all the people we know have died in the last years.
Yeah, I don't want to go there either, because I've got my own stories. But I figure for our purposes to just kind of walk ourselves through back then, I guess, because here's the thing, it's clear that we have a lot to catch up on, and I feel like we can both collectively and individually, we should try to just, I feel like we can all use a bit of a catch up. What do you guys think about just kind of sort of unearthing the JD archives and kind of getting in that headspace? I'm sure it's probably really hard, especially Nick. I don't know how much you've even thought about JD and after all this time now, but
it's funny. Like I've had a few people walk into my work and be like, recognize me from back then. It's just fucking crazy. So I still think about it.
It's kind of the same for me. I mean, I started that Instagram really as an effort to kind of start archiving all the shit that I've hung on to, because once it's up there, it's up there. I think it's, at this point in the game, Instagram is probably the best place for it to live, unless like I built a website or something. But I thought it was a good effort to make, just so at any given time, whenever you guys wanted to like look at all, because I hung on to all those flyers, and I can't find half of them, but I did manage to keep a decent amount, and so I basically just photographed them and then put them up on Instagram.
Anything that I have is at my mom's house, and I haven't been there since I've been here. So
yeah,
a long time, 15 years. So I don't even know what's even there anymore.
Well, whenever that time comes, whenever either of you guys come across anything, just like snap a photo of it or something, send it over to me. 20 years ago, next week, or the 13th of September, we went in your mom's basement, Nick, and like started something. I remember. I don't remember what car I packed my drums in to get there. It might have been that silver Nissan Altima, maybe. And then then Jeff, I think you had your PV amp I think your amp was already there. Were you guys already playing in the basement? I can't remember that, actually.
No, we were playing at the apartment on Lawrence Street.
Was that where we
That's right.
When we lived with Rick and Beth, Liz, and Pete.
Right.
That's right. So
oh my God.
You guys were actually already like messing around with music.
And I want to say we ran into Erik at a grade show, if I remember correctly, and we started talking about playing together.
You're right.
Was it Grade?
I think it was
maybe Grade or Iceburn. I want to say.
Hot Water Music.
No, I actually can't remember, but I feel like
I just remember it was at the tune-in.
It was at the tune-in. I remember that, and I almost feel like Grade was like later on. Like I almost feel like we discovered Grade together.
I think it was a Hot Water Music show. I really do.
That might have made more sense.
No, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. Maybe it was just.
Oh my God. Well, I know. I remember the first time I met you, Erik. It was I went to the record store at the tune-in, and there wasn't even a show happening. But I went in there, and Kyle was working there, Kyle Mullins, and he was like, I don't know what was going on, but I just went down there to see him, and you were there actually looking at records, and then you pulled out what was that band called? The guy from Converge was in it. Totally blanking now. One of those bands that the Converge guys were in. Pulled it out, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good 7-inch, and so I think you bought it, and you're like, all right, I'll give it a shot, and then that was the first time I met you. So.
That's right. Although I think I was there to buy a Neurosis T-shirt.
Was that what it was?
Well, I think I was looking at the records, and I was just hanging. I think I was like chatting with Kyle, or you were there chatting with Kyle, and I don't know. I think like I bought a Neurosis T-shirt or something, and then Kyle was like, "You guys should play music together."
Yeah. Yep.
But then I later found out that you and Nick were actually already working on stuff, or like toying around the idea of wanting to start a band. And you know, Nick, I had already known you from way back. You know, we were like already going to shows and seeing each other like in passing, right?
Mhm. Going out graffiti bombing.
Was that before?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
that was before.
That's right.
I had already been arrested for it.
Oh my God! Right.
Oh man, you were like New Haven's most wanted.
That's right. Your probation got in the way of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's
I can't leave, guys.
That's right. It's funny. The graffiti actually came first. God, we were such shithead kids, like just destroying everything. You know, it was like back then. It was like overly sweetened coffee, graffiti, Mamoon falafel, and then we started a band.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Blessings to Go.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That was like
that
was a big staple. In fact, I think we lived on Blessings for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
Broccoli and tofu and garlic sauce. Does that ring a bell?
Jesuit was the name of the band.
Oh, Jesuit, right.
Yeah.
The bass player of Converge was in.
What's his name? Nate.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, and then Ben from Force Fed Glass actually ended up becoming the drummer of Converge years later.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then Kurt Ballou, his studio is like full blown. Like he is like full throttle with his studio apparently. Like I think he found a new space, and now he's making his own pedals or something like that. It's kind of crazy, or compressors or something. I don't know. I just started seeing a little bit pop up on Instagram. So there's definitely people out there still doing it. You know.
Yeah, you know, you guys remember what was that band called? They were like part of the Page 99 crowd.
From Virginia?
Yeah. God, what were they called? Anyway, they're playing here soon. They're like doing a tour.
Oh yeah, Majority Rule.
No, not Majority Rule.
Oh, they're actually doing a reunion with Page 99. this month.
What?
Majority Rule on Page 99, they're getting back together to do like a full benefit tour, and like all these charities are,
For what?
Oh, for just like I think like equal rights or LGBTQ stuff. But now that I think about it, it's crazy with like all these disasters happening, like between LA fires and the hurricane in Texas and all that. It's just like,
yeah,
the nuclear war. I guess all you can do is just play some music and.
Yeah. City of Caterpillar stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're like, I think they have like 3 Bay Area shows. So I was like, oh,
that's cool.
I won't be able to go. I'm on dad duty, but I'm getting much of it these days.
Nick, have you been doing much stuff with music lately? You said you were kind of toying around with some new stuff.
I started writing some stuff like recently. For a while, I didn't really do that much. I actually was working on some stuff that I actually lost. But yeah, no, I'm starting to record some stuff, just like messing around at the house.
I mean, what's cool about it is kind of like what you said, Nick. It's like you guys got up there and there was sort of like an objective, and it was nice too, because it was like the house was it was comfortable, and like you said, the other guys were there, like Will and Tim. And I just remember when we would rehearse for a few hours in the room, and then we'd come out, and and that was when we were playing the new music. That's when I think even before the music left the house, so to speak, I think there was already like question marks kind of floating in the air. People like, I think Will and Tim, I don't think they really knew what to make of it. I don't think we knew what to make of it, what we were coming out with. I mean,
I just think it was a natural progression for us. So, but just the 3 of us, and Ed, it was a natural progression, but maybe it didn't seem like a natural progression to other people. So
I think a lot of people were confused by it, and a lot of people speculated why you decided to suddenly use a microphone and not scream. But again, like you said, it was the natural progression, and it kind of made sense artistically, creatively, and I think too, like Nick, your guitar playing. Speaking of progression, I'll never forget when we started playing that kind of last iteration of JD, and you were coming out with some really kind of psychotic, I don't know if psychotic is the word, but the stuff
frantic.
Well, the flavors that you would put on your guitar playing I just don't understand. To this day, I don't understand what you did and how you did it and how you met. Like you were playing notes that I just don't understand how you made them work.
Yeah.
And you did, and it was fucking awesome. And
it's funny trying to relearn some of those songs after so long.
I don't even know how,
what the fuck was I playing?
Yeah.
I just don't know what was going through your fucking head.
Can
you tell us a little? Because I will always wonder too. I look at you like.
I would just I don't know, because a lot of times, Erik, you wrote the songs. The bass guitar, and remember you used to switch up everything. I would take it, and I would always listen for little subtle things that he was doing in the drumming, and then take the guitar riff and try to splice little parts into it, so it was almost unplayable. I guess.
I know, man, and that's what I think. That's what I think. What a lot of people, and you know what, I'm gonna focus on you for a second, because I think a lot of people over the years have wondered about who you were as a musician and an artist, and the kind of stuff that you put on tape. I mean, a lot of people just really, still to this day, including me and Jeff, never really understood where you were coming from. You had this uncanny ability to take apart, like you said, that was kind of our process, right? I would start with a kernel of an idea or whatever, and then present it to you guys, and we'd either sit together in a circle, or we would sort of collaboratively figure out what would work, and then learn our parts together. And then Nick, you would then suddenly kick it into high octane, and then put your twist on it that I don't think anyone on the planet would be able to create except for you.
Before you go further, just to let people know, there was like the layer of it, or how it worked was we would all sit in a circle, but you would be playing guitar and Nick would be doing percussion stuff. That's something that people, I think, is really important for people to understand that they don't realize.
And I think that's why the songs, you know, they from what they started, they were never what they were, you know, what they ended.
Right, never
the
what
songs
they
themselves took on a progression, you know.
Yeah. But, you know, that's why it worked. I mean, and I've told people this before. It's like, Jeff, you played the bass like it was a guitar.
Yeah.
Nick, you played your guitar like it was a direct extension of your fucking soul. And, you know, I mean, as did you, Jeff, and singing on top of that, you know. And the parts that I wrote, I played the guitar like it was a percussive instrument. I didn't know how to play. It was you guys that kind of made sense of what I was trying to do, whether it was like a weird time signature or a particular dynamic of one of the guitars dropping out and then coming in to create more impact. I mean, there are times, though, where both of you just sort of instinctually dropped out at a part, and it totally changed the feel of the song in terms of creating a dynamic or an impact. Kind of funny how at the time I don't think we really knew what we were doing. We just did it the way we knew how to do, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just seemed so natural. There was no discussion like, oh, well, you should do this and you should do this and this is how we're going to do things. It was just like very, very organic. It just
four count. What's the four count?
Wait, what? What?
No, like we were saying, everything just like came together. We didn't even need a four count to start a song off. We'd all just look at each other and just start playing.
Yeah,
it was like it's just the connection that we had.
Yeah, we were on some different plane, I think.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we're actually talking about this stuff specifically, because it really, you know, over the years, you dip in and out of real life. You know, of course, we have our lives now, but 20 years later from where it all began, I still reference this stuff as a real marker of some of the work I'm most proud of as an artist or a musician. I think because of that dynamic that we organically established, I think that's why people to this day are still expressing interest in the music, and people are asking questions about. People are even asking, you know, what kind of amps you guys played out of, and what kind of tuning you had, and all that. People like would speculate what the tuning was, and I'm just like, it was drop D. You know,
I think it was a little bit lower. It was a little bit lower, but that was the basic tuning. But
because I think when we first started, I don't think you guys actually used tuners.
Nope.
We did at the end, actually.
No, at the end, I mean, you know, I think actually, Nick, you had a pedal board, which is, you know, for back then, I thought that was like a very professional thing of you to have. I think you had.
My pedal board.
I think you had a pedal board. Actually, you both did.
I went through a couple different changes with pedals and stuff.
Right.
What did you use? You had a Boss D3, right?
Yeah.
What else did you have?
Remember, I had some like crappy freaking pedal board that was like, I'd be lying if I said I knew the company.
Yeah, but you have some kind of delay pedal that you already used.
That's the Boss.
Oh yeah. But I think you started introducing that stuff even before we started playing Presents, the songs on Presents.
Yeah.
You kind of took it upon yourself.
Mainly you used it like in between songs.
Right. And it worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just having you guys being on this call is like, obviously there's a lot we can get into, but I think there really is a level of singularity. I think when it comes to this band in particular, where after all these years not communicating like this, here we are, just kind of. And this is what's so cool about that. We all have our own individual lives and obviously our own crazy stories we've amassed over the years, but then we can go back to this and always like kind of have this in our pockets to reference whenever we want.
Yeah.
Because
I do it all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
I do it all the time. Every
it's,
day. I'm just like, Yep.
Every day, 306, man.
I
still see that, and I'm just like, oh god.
I mean, in my daily life, I'm not around people that know about this at all. They know that I played
I think that goes for all of us.
Yeah. But sometimes I'm just like, man, so if only you guys knew. If only you knew the world that we came from, it would, It's weird. It doesn't lose its luster for me, I guess, is the way I would say it. It's just always there in the back of my mind. I'm like, yeah, well, I did this really great stuff. And
I think the reason why that we feel the way we do, or we can at least agree that we have a collective understanding of what this band was. So I was going to say that the reason why is because to me, JD was like art in its purest form. There were no barriers between who we were at the time as people, as individuals, and what we came out with musically. It was a direct reflection of how we were feeling collectively and individually, and I think that's what I think that's what's resonating with younger people today. People are still listening to this stuff, and people are being affected now because of that, because of the fact that it was who we were. And that's really special to me still,
Yep, me too.
Like, you can't fuck with that.
No.
I mean, like, that's something to feel really good about, right? Like, you can't fuck with what we did because it was exactly what we sought to do. We weren't trying to be something we weren't, and I think that's what people pick up on now. I think back then, a lot of people didn't know what to make of it. I don't think people knew what to make of you guys not looking at them. Like having your backs turned to the crowd. A lot of people didn't understand it, and they thought we were assholes.
Yeah.
Granted, we were, but.
But that wasn't the intent at all.
No, it wasn't.
For me, I mean, and I'm sure this is the same for you guys, but it was just because we were playing together.
Yeah.
And that was really it. Like, I just wanted to see you guys, and everybody else could watch and be a part of it too. But it was really, I wasn't performing for anybody. I was playing with my friends, my closest friends. That's what it was for me, and that's why I would face you guys. So.
Yeah, I feel the same. It was about you guys, and then playing shows because that was a part of the community we were in. I think a lot of it too was, well, it's kind of going off the topic of why we did it, but it's in the same breath. It was cool that we clearly did it for ourselves, but we were a part of this really vibrant culture in hardcore that was obviously a new thing at the time, right? It was this different take on punk rock. Bands like Orchid obviously were, some of our closest friends. Bands that we admired like Reversal of Man, or obviously Portraits of Past, which came, many years, well, not many, but quite a few years before us. I think that LP, now that I think about it, that LP on Abolition that came out in '97. So
yeah, it was a new record when we got it. But I think they broke up right around that time, if not before it came out.
Right.
So.
But then bands like Acacia, a band that we never saw, another Long Island band, I think they're from Long Island, was Closure, right? What didn't one of you guys come across their EP?
That was Nick. I was trying to remember the name of the band. The other, like, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, yeah, what's the band called?
I would have never thought of that unless we were talking. Nick, you said you found that EP?
Yeah.
Where did you find that?
AOL or something. I think somebody from AOL told me or something. Like, to be honest, like, because I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, well, if anyone's out there and want to make any more recommendations to Nick, just email him at emoprism@aol.com.
Wait, what was it?
Emoprism.
Emo Prism.
And if you need to reach me,
are you still Emo Prism?
Yeah, that's my sign in.
That's your business email.
I'm gonna change my Facebook page.
emoprism@aol. Well, if anyone needs to reach me, you can hit me up at emoamigo@aol.com.
Emo Amigo. I was DIY as a kid.
Those are pretty good. Those are pretty good email names, considering that was at the beginning of it all, I guess.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like, to think of AOL as like was our outlet, you know.
I know AOL hardcore chat rooms and
emo chat. There was emo chat too. That came a little later.
But even back then, that reminds me of when we hand silkscreen all of our T-shirts, and we would line up our hallways and living rooms with perfectly folded shirts that just had the print area exposed. And I remember that in Amherst. I remember that in Connecticut when we made our first batches of T-shirts.
There was just a walkway.
Yeah.
The walkway. Shirts everywhere. Yeah.
Well, someone hit up our Instagram recently and sent a photo of the first T-shirt we made. And I don't know if you guys remember, but it was of that silhouette of the woman kneeling down to her little kid.
Yeah.
We screen printed it in gray on a white T-shirt and had Jerome's Dream and a little type like typewriter typeface underneath it.
Uh-huh.
That popped up on Instagram, which is kind of funny. I'll have to send you guys the photo. Just a little tidbit on that graphic. That's actually I basically took that off of a Tylenol label. Kind of, I'm sure that ruins the mystique, but that's actually just a ripped off graphic from a fucking pharmaceutical company. Oh well, the irony.
Expect to hear from Tylenol within the hour.
Yeah. Right.
Where's our $50?
The 50 for the 50 shirts that we silk screened.
Exactly.
But yeah. Jeff, I wanted to ask you about lyrics. I think people, what they really want to know is about what can you touch on that wouldn't be too revealing. What can you say about what you wrote and why you wrote what you wrote?
Oh man, I've never had to explain this before. It's just sort of in my head, I guess. It came in phases, really. The early JD stuff was she got me wrestling with the demons that I had with my dad, really. He wasn't around when I was growing up very much. He used drugs for a long time, and he wound up getting his life back together and married this really great woman, and the rest of his days on the planet were pretty great. But when I was growing up, there was a void, I guess. It was just my mom and I, and I didn't really have that male role model that young boys need, and so I would think about that a lot when I was becoming an adult, and so that was the early days of JD. The early lyrics were mostly about my dad and that void that I had. And
when you wrote lyrics, did you always tap into something regarding that, or did you kind of draw influence from like other things that you decided to to, or things that happened to you along the way?
That was just the initial stuff. But then things as they went, whatever was just in my head, my ideas about different things, and I guess the sort of middle period of JD, the 10-inch, just trying to figure out my way of being a person in the world. Then the later era of JD that presents and the split with Rishi, with the 1AM radio, that sort of became, I started thinking about more public commentary and just what I would see in the world. So it was less me wrestling with my own demons and more just wrestling with what was going on in the world, what I was seeing, changes in society and whatnot. So I guess there were like three distinct phases for lyrics for me. It was my dad, and then a relationship with this girl, and then the later stuff is social commentary.
Well, yeah, it's almost like you're like the time in JD for you lyrically was, it could almost be sectioned in like three parts or like three iterations of approach.
Yeah. And I think that lyrically, at least the first two parts of JD they helped me work through some really hard stuff in my life. Mm-hmm. And that was super important to me. I mean, if anybody saw us play live, they knew that I would go to this kind of state where I wasn't really aware of anything. Even though I was aware of you guys, I was still like in my own place, and I was like working out these problems that I had. And at least for the first two lyrical stages of JD, and then later on, I feel like I was starting to become a little more cynical and being playful with my cynicism. Seeing how society was starting to change, and lots of technology was coming online, and people were becoming a little bit more isolated. So I was starting to see that. So that cynicism, unfortunately, is still there. So, sometimes my wife says, "You're so grumpy." I'm like,
I know. Some of the part that just kind of won't ever go away, no matter what's going on in the present. Like, But Nick, I wanted to ask you a similar thing about your approach to music and guitar playing in particular, and sort of like where you would go in your mind, like where you would take things, and the reasons why you kind of played the way you played. Like what was that all about?
I don't know. I guess I was a little bit of had a little bit of angst. And for me, it was a release. Being able to get it out, whatever was bothering me at the time, or just to play and leave it there, I guess. Yeah, I don't. Like when we would play, I didn't really think about anything, to be honest. I just kind of lost myself.
It's almost like you don't even need to say any more than that. It's like the music will do the talking, And I think that's similar to how I feel about it all. I think lyrically, it's a good question to ask, because just to give like a little bit of context, you don't have to like, I think what you said, Jeff, is perfect. But when it comes to the music collectively, I almost feel like we all kind of went in those stages as well, where by the end there was a level of cynicism in the music itself. There was a playfulness. There was it was definitely like an approach of just kind of like being over it.
Like man, fuck this.
Yeah, like fuck this and fuck you. That's it, And I think that was sort of our general MO throughout our existence. But no, I agree with you, Nick. Like I think drumming was the same thing for me, where I think we all did, just used what we did as the ultimate platform to lose ourselves and to come to grips with our own demons and our own angst.
Yeah, it was
and
like
our
therapy.
own, yeah, I mean, it was incredibly necessary. And again, for three young men to get together and to do what we did, I'm very thankful that we did what we did together, because I don't think it would have worked any other way. I just don't think there would be anything like we did if either of us went on to play with anyone else besides ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that shit really.
There was no replace. There was no replacing somebody in JV.
No. I mean, can you imagine if like oh well, you know, Nick's not working out, so we gotta get a new guitar player. It's like, no, that wouldn't fucking work. You know, or like
Jeff's lyrics suck.
Yeah, Jeff's lyrics suck. Like, he's gotta go. It's like
his voice is terrible.
Yeah. You know, Jeff's lyrics are a little too angry.
It's always the three of us, for sure.
You know.
It makes me a little sad this conversation isn't happening while we're all together in person.
Yeah.
Well,
that would be really nice.
Cross country.
Yeah.
But maybe we can do something, you know, in the not so distant future. You know, I love the idea of. I mean, I think that was my ideal to get us all together, to have a proper day of catching up and hanging out and like filming it. You know what I mean? We have all those capabilities because, you know, I've got all that stuff. That's kind of what I do for work, you know, and like, so maybe we can do something, you know, and who knows? Maybe we can even get behind our instruments and see what we can come up with. You know, it'd be kind of fun too.
You know, I still have everything.
Do you still have an amp?
I don't have my cabinets anymore, but I have my head and my pedal and my distortion pedal and my bass pedal.
What about you, Nick?
I don't have anything. Both of my cabs were lost in the fire, and the one thing that I have my guitars. My guitars, a bass, a keyboard. I have the essentials, I guess. But I haven't even played guitar plugged in a while. I'm ashamed to say how long. I've been playing my acoustic for like too long.
Yeah. Do you still have that old SG?
Yep.
Nice.
You know, something that would be, you know what I'd love to, you have that SG you played with, Nick?
Yeah, I think it still has the Radiohead and 1AM radio sticker on it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
On the case.
You know, I don't have anything from back then. I have a new kit, but you know, the drum set I had where I ripped off the shells
and painted it green.
Yeah. Painted it green, yeah. Didn't I sell that to
Jay? Yep.
Oh my god, I sold that to Jay.
I
wonder if he still.
I'm not sure if do I even know this Jay guy?
I wonder if he has it still.
Wow.
Did I ever meet that guy?
Yeah, you would know Jay.
Would I? Maybe I'm just
hung out
name to face.
He hung out with Russ for a while.
Oh, okay.
Crazy, you know, to think since the last time, you know, we were a band, you know, I've seen Portraits of Past twice. I saw both I saw their reunion shows in Brooklyn and in Manhattan. I think that was 2009. And then I also recently saw Festival of Dead Deer here in LA. They did a reunion a couple months ago, which was pretty rad. I took a bunch of photos of them, and it's crazy. Again, these things that kind of happen years later. You know, people still doing it, or make you know, there are people like that, like Portraits of the Past or Festival of Dead Deer, who are just making efforts to kind of tap back into it one more time, you know. And I thought that was kind of cool because those were bands that we, you know, really. I don't know. Do you remember Festival of Dead Deer, Nick?
Yeah, I remember them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, like those bands. At least for me back then, you know, they were. I mean, Festival of Dead Deer, I was really enjoyed, like appreciated. But obviously, Portraits of Past was a big one for, I think, all of us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Top 3.
Listening to that. I was listening to that LP like a couple weeks ago.
Really? Yeah, you can still. I put it on from time to time and just like listen to it with headphones on, because I think that's the thing. That's the thing about this particular music. It kind of transports you to a different place. I think at this point in the game, part of that place is nostalgia, but that's not a bad thing either. From time to time. Hence why we're recording this conversation.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, so what were the other bands that did it for us? You know, I think it's important for people to know what some of the bands that we were listening to at that time were.
For me, I'll never forget the days when, and this is actually, I remember in particular you and me, Jeff, when we would sit in your basement bedroom. You know, you had that room in the basement of that apartment, but we would just throw on records and stuff that you probably had bought at the tune-in. And I think Portraits of Past was one of those LPs, you know, that we would put on, and we would just sit in your room in silence and listen to that.
Yeah.
Over and over again. But to answer your question, at least on my end, like bands that really did it for me back then were, of course, Portraits of Past, Reversal of Man, Honeywell, Angel Hair, a lot of West Coast hardcore bands that, you know, I think I really, really took to. I mean, Reversal is from Florida, but that question actually makes me think about all the music that wasn't hardcore that we listened to, you know, or wasn't that kind of brand of hardcore. Bands like.
Well, when you asked the question, like I didn't really listen to much the genre that we were playing until after we were playing. You know, and people would be like, "Oh, you remind me of this band. You remind me of this." Yeah.
And you're like, who?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I remember, Nick, you were listening to more melodic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I just off the cuff, I remember you that label Cranky that put out bands like Mineral, whatever other bands were on that label at the time, and I remember you weren't you a big Sunny Day Real Estate fan?
Mm-hmm.
You're mixing
Sunny Day, Foo Fighters, Jazz Dune.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're mixing up Cranky. Cranky didn't put out stuff like that. Cranky was more like ambient and drone and experimental stuff.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of Crank then. We actually got a lot from the people we collaborated with and worked with, and you know, Chris Williams from Witching Hour, that guy from Old Glory Records whose name I can't remember, you know, really gave us a chance on the 10-inch.
Mm-hmm.
And then how could you forget Forbes Graham, Rice Control Records?
Forbes, if you hear this, Forbes, Michigan.
Speaking of minivans.
Yeah. Seth Woodard, remember Seth Woodard in Greensboro?
Yeah, of course. What was his label called again?
Oh, God.
I don't know.
I said that's going to bother me trying to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to look up the record, I guess. But I'll never forget that time we drove down to Greensboro to meet Seth. And didn't we get to his house? Didn't we get to his house before he was home or something? And like someone there like let us in, and we were like hanging out. And for some reason, I just had this faint memory of like being in like hanging out in his bedroom, and he had like a huge ass Born Against poster on his wall. I mean, amongst like other show flyers and stuff like that. But for some reason, like that, there was like a Born Against flyer or poster that stood out to me. Kind of a random memory.
Yeah.
And then
I remember getting lost on the way to his house. You guys remember that?
No.
I mean,
I forgot who was driving. We drove past the exit, and then we had to get off to get gas, and like the three of us are sitting there in that station wagon with everything crammed. It was like early in the morning, so we're sitting there, and like 5 or 6 freaking big state trucks and pickup trucks roll in, like 20 worker guys get out and they're all just staring at us. You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember at all. But I can imagine.
Well,
You're like, this isn't awkward.
I definitely remember we would get stared at a lot while the truck stops, and those were also the MapQuest days. So I feel like
oh God,
navigation wasn't so great back then. But you know, the fact that we booked those
calculator things, the calculator GPS that told you what the route and like where there was a freaking gas station and everything.
Yeah, we didn't have one of those.
We did have one
map. We just had an atlas.
No, yeah, we had an atlas. We actually, that's how crazy is it that back then when we booked, for one, we booked these tours ourselves. Two, we actually navigated the country with an atlas and a MapQuest printout.
or self-described directions from whoever set up our shows.
I mean, to think that we even made it to any of these destinations is crazy. But you know, that was another really special thing about back then, was how the whole process of booking shows back then was much different than it is now. I mean, I couldn't even tell you exactly how we successfully orchestrated the tours that we went on, you know, especially the early ones. I mean, that first tour we did in that station wagon that we managed to drive across the country and back.
Yep.
And those shows that we booked, and the fact of the matter is, wherever we showed up, there were kids, and there was someone there to greet us and tell us that we were playing at whatever time, you know. And do you guys remember that time we played in Little Rock, Arkansas? And I think it was like alongside a river, and it smelled like cookies because there's like a cookie factory across the river, and like.
Mhm.
I don't remember the river or the cookies, but I remember Little Rock for sure.
Well, we played in a really small kitchen.
Yeah.
And it was like
Nick broke like 4 strings in one song.
Yeah. Yeah. That happened a lot.
Huh?
I did break 2 in one song one time, but usually it was just 1 on my end. But yeah, I remember thinking, oh shit, we're gonna have to like get out of the zone to keep people entertained here because Nick's got 4 strings.
That was one of my biggest worries was Nick's guitar basically exploding. You know, whether it was him ripping off the strings like upon the first strum of song 1, but you guys, I mean, the amount of technical difficulties that we had in our day were ridiculous. You know, heads blowing up, fucking guitars breaking in half. Remember, Nick, you broke your SG in half, I think.
Fort Collins.
The first one.
Yeah, that was in Fort Collins.
Whoa, wait, I don't remember this. Tell us the story.
I just remember we were playing a show at some house. There was like a bunch of kids there, and I don't know. I just remember I was in a bad mood to begin with, going through some shit, and I don't know. I just remember breaking it, and for some reason I can't remember the kid's name. The kid who we were staying with had an SG that he ended up selling me. I don't know if you guys remember.
Oh, I do remember that.
And that's the guitar that I played most of the shows with, and the SG that I still have now today.
That's crazy. I would have totally forgotten about that. But yeah, I'll never forget that. I'm actually surprised, Jeff, that you never broke your bass in half.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I sort of did.
Yeah, you definitely put that thing through the ringer.
I remember I put the headstock through a wall, so pissed off, and you know, I definitely did a number on it. And remember, I had to duct tape my cord in because
that thing was horrible.
Because it had broken off its tip, so it wouldn't stay in. So I had to duct tape it in every show so it would stay because I was too poor to get it fixed.
That's right. Well, that was a funny thing. Like, we basically played our shitty equipment until sort of the very end, where we had a little bit of money from shows to basically buy you like you ended up getting like a double stack of 410s, right? That the Ampeg stack, and then
I had a 410 and a 15.
Right. And then Nick, you ended up getting like a Marshall full stack or something, right? Or at least one of the cabs was a Marshall, and the other was maybe your original half stack.
To begin with, yeah, and then it ended up as the two Marshall half stacks.
Right.
Well, you have like a crappy PV head too, right?
Yeah. That PV head pretty much stayed with us like the whole time. I think only the first recording was on Marshall.
Crappy Marshall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a solid state. You always have solid state, but I think that contributed to the squeals that you were able to get.
Yeah, it definitely did. Being cranked a fast 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
And facing the guitar answer.
I think my favorite days were those when you guys had basically your ultimate setups, where essentially I was sandwiched between two towering amps, and it just fucking sounded amazing when you guys would plug in, and you know, that's what was so satisfying about those rehearsals in Amherst when we were working on Presents, because I think that was the time where we really kind of came into our own musically, right? Like, you know, in the beginnings, we really didn't know what we were doing, but I feel like at the end we started to, you know, we kind of found our own little pocket where we were in basically like full control of what we were playing, and how we were playing it, you know.
I think that's what Presents shows. You know, it shows, to me at least, it shows the progression, and it shows like not wanting to do the same thing or staying stale and stagnant, and trying to go to a different creative place.
Yeah, no, totally. I think I totally agree. Because the
to me,
what?
Sorry, to me it shows maturity on our end. We finally felt comfortable in what we were doing. We said, okay, we can do this thing that is probably going to piss a bunch of people off, but it's the right thing for us to do. It's natural, and we're just going to do it. And we felt comfortable about it.
What's funny about, or not funny, but just the whole thing about that is, I feel like in true JD fashion, you know, we write 8 songs or however many are on that record, and we hardly toured them. I think we did one tour.
Yeah. We definitely left people hanging.
Yeah. Yep. I think how many shows did we play? Like 15, maybe? 15 on the tour, and then I think we did like a couple weekends too. Like the last weekend where we were like in New Jersey and Boston, I think. So yeah, maybe we played those shows maybe 20 times live. Those songs rather.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
But you know what? It's you know, I feel like that's just kind of. I mean, I feel like it is completely in line with how we kind of existed as a band. But I agree. I think Presents kind of demonstrated a level of you know, progression, change, maturity. And I also think it kind of shows that we were in control. I think a lot of people, especially during like the 10-inch days, I couldn't say that we were in control. I think we were just like fucking live wires. You know what I mean? Like we weren't in control. We couldn't keep our equipment in one piece. We couldn't stay in tune. We couldn't keep my fucking bass drum in one place because it was always constantly sliding away from me. Like, and I think the 10-inch is what really kind of you know, cemented us as that kind of band. You know, chaotic hardcore and Presents kind of demonstrated the opposite, where we were still charged, but it was in a more I guess controlled way. I wouldn't say restrained, but more controlled. You know. So I'm glad that we ended up sort of establishing that spectrum of like the early days of like the Amalgamation 7-inch, leading up to all those other splits we did, and especially the Orchid one. But I think maybe what some people might not know is that the songs we recorded for the Orchid split was actually they were recorded during the same session as the 10-inch.
Yeah.
But they weirdly have their own vibe, like their own thing.
Yeah. I lost my voice doing that.
That's right. Well, that's another thing people speculate. People speculate the change in vocal style because of your like losing your voice or blowing out your vocal cords.